This is Akashvani. In a weekly program, Current Affairs, now we bring you a discussion on Open Network for Digital Commerce, ONDC, breaking barriers and empowering small businesses. The participants are Dr.SP Sharma, Chief Economist, PhD, Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr.Sharad Kohli, Economic Analyst, and Arjun J. Chaudhary, AIR Correspondent.
In this special series, we will be discussing about the 9 years of the NDA government, and the discussion will focus on the Open Network for Digital Commerce, also known by the acronym ONDC, breaking barriers and empowering small businesses. And on this program, we're joined by two of our noteworthy experts, Shri Sharad Kohli and Dr.SP Sharma. Warm welcome to you on the program, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sharadji, let's begin by asking you about what's your thought on the open network for digital commerce. And just for the benefit of our listeners, do tell us what digital commerce is and how different it is from physical commerce, and what does it mean to be in the open network for small businesses?
Well, we all know what is e-commerce, when goods and services are sold digitally, when you don't need to physically visit a shop or visit a service provider's office or a service provider's premises. You can very well go online and search for the kind of goods you need or the kind of service you need. E-commerce we are all familiar with. We've got some very, very popular e-commerce platforms which run across the world, especially during COVID. I think the popularity of these platforms soared to a new high because people were stuck at home, and there was a government directive, there was a protocol to not to go to crowded places. So people who wanted their necessities, people who wanted goods at home, including food and so on. So I think that's when the real boom came, although they have been in the business for a long time. Now, the problem here was that these e-commerce platforms was not within everybody's reach. And we know India as a market when it comes to business is primarily dominated by small businesses. We call them as MSMEs, the micro, small and medium. And amongst the MSMEs also the micros, they form more than 95% of the total quantum of enterprises listed under the MSME category. So it was not possible for each one of these categories to come out and list their products on these large internationally placed platforms. So that was a challenge, and it was everybody's desire, because we know that the future of market is e-market. Future of commerce is e-commerce. So I think all these businesses had this aspiration to be on a platform, and I think government very well was sensitive about the matter that it is important if we have to push these MSMEs to the next level. If micro has to become small, small has to become medium, and medium has to become large, you cannot go without digital commerce or e-commerce for that matter. And it was only relevant because only 7% of the business is being currently, out of the entire, if we take 100%, only 7% is being done on the digital commerce platform. So I think it's a very, very noble initiative by the government, where this is called Open Network Digital Commerce. Basically, as the name suggests, I think open is the new buzzword which is added. We've seen open AI, we've seen open, so many things coming out in open. Basically, it means give a very simple explanation to open. It's for everyone. Anybody and everybody can walk in. Any small corner kirana shop, or a small factory in a remote village, or a smallest of the manufacturing unit, a cottage industry, a popular product of a particular region, anything which is worth a market can be listed through this open network digital commerce. And I think this is going to be a boom to the Indian commerce industry, e-commerce industry, shall I say, because as I said, the future of the market is digital commerce. The future for buyers is digital commerce. The future for sellers, I mean, if I go on to list out the merits of e-commerce market, I think we have all seen it in the recent past. But as far as ONDC is concerned, I think the merits are going to be even more, because the reach of people right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, right from northeast to the run of Kutch in Gujarat, and list their products and services both for buyers and sellers. So it's one virtual marketplace which is open to everybody, Arjun, if I put ONDC in very, very simple terms.
Dr. SP Sharma, we just found the observation of Sharadji in terms of the open network allowing access and scaling for small enterprises as they can grow into medium and large enterprises because of the open network for digital commerce. Could you tell us some of the barriers that small businesses have to overcome, because they are third-party providers on these platforms, and they not only have to compete with each other, but they also have to compete with the products and services that are offered by the platforms themselves. So how do you find small businesses competing in this environment?
I totally agree with Sharad Kohli ji and connotations provided by him regarding the ONDC and its importance in India's current market scenario, as India is the fastest moving economy in the world economic system, particularly in the large economies, and we are facing the headwinds, and our MSME sector is a major growth driver of the Indian economy, which is providing a great support during the crises and creating the employment opportunities. And we have more than 6 crore MSMEs in India, and they are providing a great chunk of employment to the population, particularly the growing young population in the country. And ONDC is a made in India digital commerce platform that has been fueling India's economic growth by providing networking. As you said that there are barriers for the MSMEs to move fast, sometimes the marketing barriers and sometimes the shortage of manpower and sometimes competition between the service providers and sometimes the unexploration of the opportunities emerging from the various markets and various product categories. So to capture all these developments and to make them more competitive in the domestic and international market, and the objective is to make e-commerce to 25% of India's consumer purchases by 2025 from the 8% which is currently at this juncture. So the network has grown to 236 cities while bringing on 36,000 merchants to its platform from during the last 1 year. So this is growing significantly to provide support to the small businesses and medium-sized companies which are getting great benefit from the services by the ONDC, and several companies, large companies also, like including the Microsoft, Meesho, Paytm and Dunzo have already joined this platform. And more than, I would say, the small businesses like the taxi cab owners also, more than 55,000 taxi cab owners have already joined the network, and consumers are using it for about 35,000 rides a day. That is a great thing which is happening in the ONDC network. Because now, as mentioned by Sharad Kohli ji, that more than 95% businesses are from the MSME segment and they have great contribution in India's GDP also. So we have to provide them support of the networking, because sometimes the infrastructure, physical and the social or the such kind of internet services are not that much available in the remote areas. So we have to make them more prominent and to supportive for to avail such kind of networks, to remove the barriers for availing such kind of services. So I think such kind of new developments in the Indian economy will strengthen its growth trajectory as India is moving ahead to become a $5 trillion economy, then $10 trillion economy, 15, 20, even $40 trillion economy by 2047, which is projected by various prestigious organizations at the time of India's independence, that the size of the economy would be more than $35 trillion or $40 trillion. So to become a global economy in the next 25 years, which is the Amrit Kal of the Indian economy, to achieve such kind of heights, so we have to become more and more prominent in the services such as ONDC, as MSMEs are getting a great benefit from such platforms.
Sharadji, what's your take on how small enterprises are dealing with the internet, specifically search engine optimization and traffic metrics? How are they actually looking at the internet to grow their business, and how has the ONDC platform helped them do that?
The biggest problem faced by small businesses here is to scale up the business, as we've already mentioned that. And the best way to scale up the business is to step into the virtual world, because there is only a limit up to which you can probably invite customers, or there is only a limit up to which you can do physical business. I think the whole world has realized if you're into physical business, unless you are a very popular shop or a very popular brand, that too has got a limitation, because there's only as much number of hours you can operate. There's only as much capacity of people that your establishment can probably accommodate. If it's let's say if it's an eating joint, or it's any other shop or trading establishment. So I think the best way, any business advisor who speaks to any business says that if you want to scale it up, I think a very common advice across the world is please tap the virtual world. And here is the solution. Now, ONDC provides you, the moment you list your product, I think the whole engine starts working. It's like a product launch virtually. And the best part of this, the ONDC platform is, we must all know that this is a Section 8 company which has been floated by the government, which is operating this entire network, the entire platform virtually. So the moment you list your product is immediately, it just doesn't lie there. It is transmitted and it is relayed to a lot of other matching platforms, and it practically, you can assume that the moment you list your product, it automatically gets listed and it increases its reach pan India. Somebody is sitting in, let's say, a place called Hisar in Haryana, and he gets an order for, let's say, Thiruvananthapuram in Kerala. Now, the problem for that person is, suppose the product sells for 400 rupees or 500 rupees. The big problem is that for a 400 rupee product to stay price competitive, how will it reach Kerala? So I think there is also a logistic solution available on the platform itself. That is, there are various modes and there are various clustered transportation services through whom you can book the sale of this product, which can be physically delivered. And I think if we go on to list out the advantages or the merits of such a platform, I'm sure the sweetness of the pudding is in tasting it. So the people who have already tasted the fruits of this platform, I think they can vouch for the merits that it provides. First of all, I mean, as I was mentioning, the large e-commerce platforms, which are mostly international, they are not easy to access. They've got their own terms and conditions. Take, for example, Amazon or Flipkart, which are some of the world's biggest platforms. There are others also. There's eBay in America. There are so many other platforms, which I think every small business in working in India, they only dream, they aspire to be there. I wish our product could be listed there. And when they try and reach out to them, first of all, it's difficult to reach out. Secondly, it's expensive to reach out. We should not forget that these e-commerce platforms, they don't operate for free. They are there for business. Whereas ONDC is a government-sponsored, is a government-run platform. So therefore, the intention is not to penalize the people who are being listed there to an extent that the sale or purchase becomes unprofitable. So I think the economy of entering the platform, for me, is the biggest advantage here, and the ease of entering. So economy of entering and the ease of entering, because it's such a very, very nominal charge that you enter the platform, and not just products and customary services. I have found so many self-employed people being listed. I found lawyers there. I found doctors there, obviously subject to their ethical limitations, chartered accountants, lawyers, doctors, because they have some ethical limitations on promoting their profession, but you can always list out there, and you might have a gamut of your clients who may be looking for you in different areas. Then I think one more big advantage which I saw on ONDC was that for two kinds of businesses, one was groceries and one was pharmacies, because these are the two businesses which need very extensive distribution networks. Because for a grocery brand, large supermarkets, hypermarkets, where you enter and you browse around the place, you just walk around the place for hours and hours you spend. So I think these groceries and pharmacies who need very extensive distribution networks, for them, this has been a blessing from heaven, because they can very easily escalate their business to the next level. They can very easily expand the business. And we must not forget a very important case in point, that when you scale up these businesses, you need to have wholesalers, you need to have retailers, you need to have stockists. I mean, there's a whole lot of middlemen which are there, and we should not forget that middlemen operate, each one of the middlemen, they operate for profit. I mean, no middleman is going to probably do a charitable job of distributing your product. So more the middlemen, now this is a very important point I'm making, more the middlemen, more the price. In fact, when we talk of price hike solutions in India, we talk of eliminating the middlemen, because each middleman cushions up the price, each middleman adds up to the price. So therefore, when you are distributing to such a platform, you are eliminating the need for a middleman, which means that the price of your product or service becomes much more competitive, which means if I have to sell my product from the factory, so I call it as F2C, factory to consumer. You could be having a factory, you could list out on ONDC, and there you get a consumer straight away. Otherwise, a factory would normally look for a stockist, a wholesaler, a distributor, and so on and so forth. I think that, for me, is one of the biggest takeaways of this ONDC platform, because you are actually going without middlemen, direct to the customer. So this provides, it increases your profit, it makes it price competitive, it helps the consumer also. The consumer knows I'm not paying a padded up price, I'm just paying the price which I should be paying. And another very important aspect I found on ONDC was, when I was browsing through the whole thing, was that there is a lot of skill learning facility there. I mean, somebody wants to upgrade his or her own skill. You can probably choose one of the trainers. You can choose one of the skill upgradation mechanism there or a skill upgradation service. And you could easily scale up your skills. And once you have the skill, sky is the limit, as they say. I mean, you can go to any extent and you can do it. And one of the biggest costs which I found these small businesses, which pinches them, is the cost of advertising. What is advertisement all about? Advertising is about making your product visible to rest of the world. When you want your product to be known, and look at the cost of advertising. You go for any kind of advertising platforms, you find they're all chargeable, and some of the, like, go for outdoor advertising, it's very, very expensive. So there is a saying in Hindi as far as marketing is concerned, which is said, jo dikhta hai, wo bikta hai. I think this is the solution being provided by ONDC when it increases the visibility of your product many-fold. You can actually reach out to people who had never probably known about your product. I mean, if I'm selling a papad brand from a cottage industry in Uttar Pradesh, I don't know if somebody in his lifetime can probably know that I'm selling papad, but here's a platform which suddenly puts you in the virtual world and you can actually reach out to people. They dream of going cross-border. They want to export their product. And knowing ONDC to be a digital commerce platform, I found a lot of foreigners, a lot of foreign customers showing interest, browsing through ONDC platform and seeing that where can we spot the product that we need. So I think it also opens the gates for exports, which some of these MSMEs, or I would say most of these MSMEs, would probably only keep dreaming for the rest of their lives. So here is a platform through which you can also reach out to international markets.
Dr. Sharma, we heard from Sharadji in terms of how important ONDC as a Section 8 company which is helping small enterprises reach out to customers. Effectively, are we looking at ONDC and its development as a cooperative helping businesses, Dr. Sharma?
As elaborated by Sharad Kohli ji, ONDC plays significant role in facilitating businesses to secure even credit and quality of insurance. Banks can track matrices to offer sellers enhanced financing. Then it provides greater credit, could address a range of needs of the entrepreneurs. All kinds of services are available at the ONDC platform, and more learners and workers could access a skill-based education, vocational training, career counseling, and then knowledge of career opportunities, allowing more equity and inclusion. I think this is a great development and great shift towards engender a more equitable and skills-driven labor market in India, with the ability to upskill and seek employment available to all on an open network. So this is providing not only the business opportunities but also the helping in socio-economic development of the country, which is very, very important at this juncture when we are going to become a developed economy in the next 25 years. So the developments and the progress of the entrepreneurs and their requirements from the global market economy are very much addressed by the ONDC platform. And I would say that entire supply chain could improve significantly with the price stability and including so many service providers with a great price discovery, also creating more competition in the market and providing the best of the art services and providing a great network to move forward and to participate in India's growth story, which is now lucrative and becoming visible at the global chart. So this is a great platform, and I would say that this will help India's economy to move forward with more inclusion of services and enhancement of the inclusive growth in India. And this will enhance the GDP to the next level, I think, with the speed of services. Like sometimes bottlenecks are there and the companies are not able to move forward with their thought processes and they are not able to implement their ideas. So this will provide a great platform to find out the talent also and to implement their thought processes at the ground level so that their companies are becoming more and more competitive and they are able to compete in not only in the domestic market but also in the international market. And this will enhance the export trajectory of the Indian economy, not only the merchandise exports which are now becoming more and more significant with the great growth, but also the services exports, like when the network of the MSMEs, there are significant number of MSMEs in the services sector, because merchandise services like the the manufacturing MSMEs are not that much significant in the total MSME segment. The services sector is great. So this will also enhance and provide a great platform to the manufacturing sector MSMEs because they are sometimes impacted by the lack of manpower and lack of marketing opportunities. So they will become now more prominent and more integrated with the global developments, and they can capture the global market opportunities which are emerging from the so many geopolitical developments and the dynamic structure of the global economy.
Sharadji, when you compare ONDC with the publicly traded companies that are running platforms like this, e-commerce companies like Amazon, how detailed are the product and service specifications on ONDC so that small enterprises can sell across platforms?
I mean, there's no comparison because, first of all, platforms like which you name, they are not open. And as I said, when you say open, you mean it's for everybody. It's very democratically run platform, ONDC. That is not democratically run because you need to contact an Amazon executive or an Amazon dealership, contact them, list out your product. They will have their own terms and conditions. And obviously, there's a substantial fee which you need to pay stepping in. And on an ongoing basis, you have to sacrifice a substantial part of your profit. So you need to see that you're making enough profit to make Amazon as your partner for sale for that matter. Well, ONDC, I feel, is much more than just an e-commerce platform. That's why we call as open network digital commerce. We don't call it simply as e-commerce. And one of the reasons I found why it's been defined that way, because you spoke of detailing, is this also provides you a networking opportunity. I mean, this can be understood very easily. You take, for example, somebody starts a business in somewhere in the remote corner of Madhya Pradesh. Now, what is the problem the person will face? As I said, the first problem is finance. He doesn't know where do I get the money from. Here is the solution. Go to ONDC. There are so many financial intermediaries which are listed there. You can take their help. Now, this could be located in Delhi, Bombay or whatever, which provides very easily. Otherwise, that person sitting in a remote corner in Madhya Pradesh may have access to probably the nearest bank or whatever, which may or may not provide. He may be eligible, he may not be eligible. The second problem is marketing, as we've been speaking about it all this while, which is how to market the product, how to make sure that the product reaches out to prospective customers beyond Madhya Pradesh, beyond that district, beyond that village, to other states as well. So marketing is the second problem. Then comes the problem of HR. He needs people, the businessman or the promoter who started the business, he needs people to help him out. After all, it cannot always remain as a one-man show. So recruiting people, there are a lot of HR services which are listed there. Then, of course, comes the IT. Now, a huge problem was because if you had to set up your own e-commerce, and this was a problem which came in when Amazon, I remember, first came to India, there was a lot of protest by the neighborhood kirana shops because they said probably they're going to eat away into our business because it's so convenient. You don't need to step out. There is extreme heat in North India these days. Or there is extreme cold during winters, it's raining or whatever. You don't need to be worried. Somebody just order and second or third day or probably the same day sometimes. The item is delivered at your doorstep and with a facility to replace as well. So I think it worried the small retailer section in India that our business is going to disappear. And I was amongst the first. I mean, I don't need to boast about myself, but I was amongst the first when some of these contacted me. I told them, I said the best way is you go virtual as well. But a very valid point they raised was that how can we go virtual? How will we get the visibility? We don't have the kind of visibility which Amazon has. We don't have an app of our own. How are people going to find us even on the virtual world? So here is the solution now that we've created such a massive platform where you can network, you can find or you can also know who your competitors are, what are the prices at which those people are selling, how to arrange finance, how to hire marketing services, how to market the product, where to find people, what are the IT solutions, what other IT solutions I can use. Can I use artificial intelligence in scaling up my business? Can I resort to machine learning? So all these answers would be provided by ONDC. And when it comes to differentiating between the two, the publicly listed or I would say publicly well-known international brands of e-commerce, I think this is more of also a networking platform because there is no, for the benefit of listeners, I must tell here because people who do not know Companies Act 2013, that a Section 8 company means a company which has been floated not for profit. It is a company which is floated with an altruistic intent. It is a company which is floated for the benefit of people at large. It is in the interest of public. So because it is not working for profit, it will not differentiate between who pays more, who pays less. There is a uniform listing system. You just put your product there and there it goes. Everybody is treated alike. Nobody is given a preference that I'm trying to, put, because we heard allegations of some of publicly listed platforms that they were giving preference to certain mobile phone companies. They were giving preference to certain other garment brands and so on and so forth. Well, all that bias, all that concept is not going to apply to ONDC because this is democratic. Everybody has got similar rights. You may be a very big brand. You may also have next to you a very tiny brand somewhere in the cottage industry in Bulandshahr or Hapod in UP or probably somewhere in Telangana. You might have a big brand competing with a small brand and they are brushing shoulders with each other. I think that is the beauty of ONDC. And I think through this program today at Akashvani, I would like, if this message is reaching every nook and corner of the country, I know Akashvani's reach is far and wide, I would like to solicit all the businessmen in this country, please come forward and list on ONDC because you will only see this magic working if more and more people join. This is a very important point because if more people join, it's got a multiplier effect. If today there are 1,000 people, tomorrow there are 10,000, day after there are 1 lakh people, then 1 million people, then 2 million. More and more people, as they get enrolled on ONDC, you will find the multiplier effect. You will find the advantages, the merits of ONDC growing many-fold because after all, it's about networking. After all, it's about the choice which people get, not just the customers getting choice of various products, but also the vendors getting choice of various kinds of customers. I'm just being very imaginative and if I press a fast forward button on this whole concept, in the next 5 years, you might find the whole country's business on this. Imagine the power, imagine the capability, imagine the potential. This has to generate the kind of business where India, as Dr. Sharma rightly said, if India is looking, in fact, $5 trillion economy, I no more call it $5 trillion because $5 trillion is well within our reach now in a very, very short time. I now put a $10 trillion target. So I think we are heading for $10 trillion target in a very, very short time if this kind of platform picks up pace. Because you can imagine the potential that the whole of the country comes under umbrella of a virtual platform where you don't have to brush shoulders, you don't have to be worried about weather, you don't have to be worried about traveling down 500, 600 kilometers to sell your product, you don't have to be worried about the language barriers, you don't have to be worried about you are competing with a big or small product. Everybody is alike. It is left to the discretion of the customer. Whom do you want to choose? Whom do you want to supply? And your product is delivered. I think this is a magic which is going to happen in the world of business in India. And I think every businessman in India has got a reason to rejoice because once you're on it and you see, in fact, I would want the businessmen to come forward and let us know, let Akashvani also know how much has your business grown ever since you stepped into ONDC. And we've seen this magic working in GEM also, the government e-marketing platform where a lot of people had a lot of things to say about e-marketing. But this is going to be much bigger. This is going to be much wider. This is going to be much more modern. This is going to be much more technologically advanced. And this is going to be much more beneficial for the businesses in India.
Dr. Sharma, we heard from Sharad Kohli ji. Just briefly, in order to conclude, one got the sense that ONDC and GEM allows small businesses to go in for horizontal and vertical integration. What is the future for small businesses, very briefly?
Future of small businesses is very bright, Arjun, because now we have a great platform like ONDC, which will provide a great growth trajectory to the small business, as said by Sharad Kohli ji, that we have great opportunities and we have to expand large and we have to become a 5 trillion economy in a very shorter period of time. And we have potential to grow much, much faster from the current level of growth of the Indian economy. And opportunities are immense and we have to explore them with the platforms such as ONDC. And this is very much in line with the growth trajectory of Indian economy. And let's move forward with more and more spread of awareness, which is crucial at this juncture, because if the people are not knowing about the such kind of platforms, then they will not be able to avail such opportunities and they will be missing the growth of the Indian economy, which is a bright spot in the global ecosystem. Let the growth percolate at the ground level and so that more and more people are able to participate in the growth story of Indian economy.
Well, I'd like to thank Dr. Sharma, both yourself and Sharad Kohli ji for enlivening, letting our listeners know about ONDC, the Open Network for Digital commerce and how it's breaking barriers and empowering small businesses in this special series on 9 years of the NDA government. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You will be listening to a discussion on Open Network for Digital Commerce, ONDC, breaking barriers and empowering small businesses. The participants were Dr.SP Sharma, Chief Economist, PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr.Sharad Kohli, Economic Analyst, and Arjun Chaudhary, AIR Correspondent. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about the program through email at airnsttalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 9289 094 044.